is packed with back. The hump on my back is packed with back. The hump on my back is packed with back. Won't say it again, cause you know all that. Thick lips, eat sticks and bone. Thorny scrubs and others leave alone. Sometimes sip on the salty brine, cause the H2O is hard to find. My shaggy fur insulates, my body temps regulate, so I don't sweat and dehydrate. Live another day to procreate.
Okay, if that's not like burned into your soul, I don't know what else will do it. So what's the definition of an adaptation? Okay, so it's the way an organism's body changes to be better suited to the environment that it's living in. Today, we are going to mark the text of a reading activity that discusses some different types of relationship adaptations. Oh, seriously, right? It sticks in your head. Cameron, oh, you can't walk around. Will you give everybody a copy for me? So you do need to have your school-wide binders out. We're going to be putting this activity into our binder when we're done. So get it out so that you'll have access to it. In your calendar, hey guys, right here. In your calendar, in your school-wide binder, I need you for tomorrow to write down biology quiz. Next Thursday, I need you to write down biology unit test. So we're quizzing today. Thursday next week we will test. If you look in your supply buckets at your table, you should have a highlighter. If you don't have a highlighter, there's colored markers, and one of those will work just as well. You can get an orange or a yellow or even a light pink. Thank you, sweetie. I have one extra highlighter. Who needs it? You're going to need a pen. Why is that so blurry? A pencil will work. Just something to write with. So we're going to use some of our AVID school-wide strategies to help us process these few paragraphs. The first thing that we need to do, eyes and ears on me, please. I'm waiting. Ladies. First thing we need to do is number our paragraphs. After we've numbered our paragraphs, there's several things that we're going to do today. The first thing that we're going to do is circle important words. We're going to highlight important info. We're going to chunk those notes. We're going to write in the margins. After we've done all of these steps, no, I'm just giving you the steps in case you didn't know them. After we've done all of these steps, we're going to take what we've learned in this article and turn it into a graphic organizer, a chart, so to speak. So, paragraph 1. Cameron, read for us. As Cameron reads, I'm going to mark my text. Does your text have to match mine perfectly? No, because it's personal, right? So you interact with your own personal text. Mine is just as a guide to show you what I would do. Go ahead, Cameron.
Many organisms have developed a close relationship with another organism of a different species. Such close interaction and defined as
Symbiosis, yes.
in symbiotic relationship, one or both members receive some benefit from interaction. This relationship
This benefit.
This benefit could be food or protection. There are 3 types of symbiotic relationships.
Commensalism.
Mutualism, and
It's commensalism, mutualism, and parasitism. I circled those because those are vocabulary words. That's why I circled them. Now remember, you don't have to match what I'm doing exactly. Casey, read paragraph 2 for us. Mm-hmm. Remora. Remora. Commensalism. Species. All right, so we have 3 new vocabulary words here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to say them once, and I want you to repeat after me. That way you can master their pronunciation. Thumbs up if you understand what we're doing. Everybody got it? Commensalism. Mutualism. Parasitism. All right. Paragraph 3. Read for me, Raylan. Anemone. Think Finding Nemo. Mutualism. Paragraph 4, read for me, Jason. So there are many examples of symbiosis. Can you list any more? Before we list, the first thing that I want to do is draw us a chart, all right? So the first type of relationship that we discussed in our notes was commensalism. So commensalism, one individual is helped, and one individual is not bothered. I call him the meh face, all right? So, one is helped. One is meh. This is commensal. One is helped, one is meh.
Right there.
Yes, we are creating this chart together. The next type that we discussed, was mutualism. Mutualism, one is happy, and so is the other one. So they are both happy, so they're both helped. This is mutualism. So the next one we talked about was parasitism. Who can tell me, what do these faces look like? An emoji, yeah. But what are the expressions going to be on the emojis? One's happy. What's the other one? And sad, yes. So one is helped and one is hurt. That is parasitism. The next type here, that wasn't in your reading, but it's still an ecological interaction, is one is helped, one is happy, one is dead. What would that be? Predator and prey, right? One thing eats another. So one is happy and one is dead. So we've taken the information from our reading and we've generated a little graphic organizer, something visual to help organize our notes. Now we're going to go back and revisit our reading. I'm going to give you a second because I know you're probably still writing here. So finish up your chart. Yes, ma'am. You're going to need the faces. The faces are one of the easiest ways to remember this information. You can even add to your chart anytime you see these faces from me. You can remember that emoji faces have to do with symbiotic relationships. Give me a fist to 5, fist being 0, 5 being 5 minutes. How much longer do you need to draw this? Getting lots of 3s, lots of 4s. I'll give you about 3 minutes to get this chart down. Now, if we start to get loud, I'm going to assume that means you're done. So. Got about 1 more minute before I move on. If you have more than one color, highlighter, marker, writing utensil, matte pencil, you may want to get a couple of those out. Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Are you ready, Armani? Okay. So now we're going to go back to the reading. If you remember, I gave you a list of steps that we were going to do. And after marking the text, it says to chunk. So what I like to do when I chunk is take different color writing utensils. Basically, you're drawing boxes around information that's in common. Okay? Most of you were in 8th grade last year. I know that if you were in the literacy bowl, that there was a lot of teaching that happened about chunking, right? So, in your paper, here we have an introduction talking about the 3 types. So, I would chunk that intro. After the intro, I have a chunk about commensalism. Then I have a chunk over mutualism. And I'm going to go ahead just for the sake of it, and I'm going to include these last 2 in the same chunk. So if this was a page of Cornell Notes, how many questions would you have to have?
5.
How many chunks do we have? 4. So how many questions would you have to have?
4.
You'd have to have 4 questions. So what I would like for us to do, instead of doing questions, we're going to do something called writing in the margin. In these C notes, we are going to add to the margin any information that's relevant to that particular chunk. For example, this intro here, many organisms, talking about the 3 types. You could put relationships exist in nature. Now let me tell you about writing in the margin. The point of it is to make personal connections. So what I write in my margin may be different than what you write in your margin. But it needs to be personal to you. Let's talk specifically about commensal relationships. Down here at the bottom, it asked if there were any other examples that we could use. And when I think, I'm from East Texas. Put your supplies in your supply box. Set it behind you on the table. The whole box. Thank you. When I think of commensal relationships, I think of Spanish moss growing on trees on Caddo Lake in East Texas. So I'm going to put Spanish moss on trees. That's an example of a commensal relationship.